Heimgartner's gone straight into the back. It'll trigger a safety car, and that is a disastrous start.
You're right, brother.
What a shame. So Thomas Randall has stalled on the line. He didn't get the anti-stall going and get it mobile, or he's had a failure. And it's in fact been red flag now, and then heavy contact. We were hoping that everybody would get around.
Control to all teams, advise your drivers. Control to all teams, advise your drivers. Due to the impact on the front grid, all cars to pit lane, please. All
went to go. So you watch this. He moves, and then he moves again, and that's when it stalled. That's probably close enough to 150 kilometres an hour, I reckon that is.
That's what you don't want to see at the start of a motor race. Okay, so
Race control safety car proceeding to pit lane with field behind us.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're breathless. That's a nasty, nasty shunt for Tim Edwards and his group, and for Brad Jones and his group. There's going to be some money flying to fix this. Oh, man. That is a shocker, and the rest of the field all scrambling to get around, so it's actually a bit of a miracle that the rest of the mark actually survived it.
But I'm looking also at the rear damage on. Have a look. Bang! When we had that front shot, and you could see it tear the right-hand rear corner out of the Castrol Mustang, that force is incredible.
Taking the corner out of the front of that car, taking the rear out of the Mustang.
So we missed the deflection of Thomas Randall into Percat, which, as Bruce Stewart just said, probably hit a little harder than we thought. Now, this is all the commotion. That's where the front damage has come from. So Shane's heavily into the back of Cam Waters in the braking area. Di Pasquale's now trying to get around the outside there on board with Shane. So that was Thomas parked, stopped. Shane got a better start than Cam Waters, which is unusual lately because Cam's starts have been great. And then he gives him a fair rub up on the way into the braking area, and there goes Anton. And have a look at the kerfuffle around the back of this. But you will actually see some steering from that angle.
It wasn't a great start by Cam, so he's actually made heavy contact with it, so that is shame. Look at the front of it. So no wonder they replaced the front of it.
I didn't think he'd get away with it. I thought he was on the dirty side then, and I thought he was probably going to outbrake himself, but he got it stopped, didn't he?
I didn't realise this happened. That explains what went on here with Will. So he got turned on board with him now, Will Davison, on the podium yesterday.
So who bumps him? Is it Best? Or is it...
It might have been Chris Pither. Certainly there was a red coat. Watch this, Mark. So Lee Holdsworth launches straight into the passenger door. Scott Pyatt's grabbed the exhaust at the sill panel.
Should be all right.
Oh, that hit quite hard, actually, didn't they?
Yeah, so I saw it in the background. Yeah, and he lit up being...
Every factor, all the steering weight, through the seat of your pants, through every single part of it. Even, he's gone.
He's gone, and he's taken him with him. So, and is he going to bog this thing? Does he get out? So off the road also for Feeney. So there's action everywhere out there at the moment. What a race. And trouble for the MSR cars. The truck assist cars have got together at 6.
Looks like there's something on the road down there.
Because the difficulty involved in trying to sense everything that Mark was talking about. Jordan Boy's off the road, one of the wild cards between 14 and 15. Brought up what little dust there is around the edges. LeBrock off one more time. Because this is a relatively new racetrack, it doesn't have that gnarly, raspy stuff off the racing line. And whoa, that's not good for Will. Whoa, he's still going. Which way's north? High-tech knockometer ready to be deployed.
Here we go, is the bang. So that's David fully locked up into the back of James Golding. So that's the mystery. We were trying to work that out before when they'd made so much ground. Have a look how far off the road they are, and that's just visibility. Yeah. That will just be pure visibility. This is on board, so he comes through the fast left-hander, tries to get it stopped. Those wheel tracks are now gone, and he's gone. So where he went to turn in, there were originally wheel tracks there, then it just become complete ice looking. Is that?
Got faster in Sector 1 than anybody else. So wild ride here for Jake Kostecki, rotates it.
This might make defence. It's so far off the road. Lucky it spun so violently.
Chaz Mostert got a bit of inside front locking going on the right front corner, and he's doing a Brock Feeney here, crossed up sideways. That's mud and water disappearing into the front of that thing.
How's it go?
And Jack Smith's having a crack at this down there. So the reason for the problem is there's little cracks in the road down there, and it was seeping water yesterday, and I saw it the night before when I went around the track. Actually, that's
the worst.
Yeah. You know, they're tippy-toeing through this. Ooh, that was he's gone off with full force down there, hasn't he, Jake? Water out there, and he's locked up big time at turn 1. You can see that he's used all the apron.
Pressures were good. They were on.
And there was heavy rain here last night. It's been quite wet in Melbourne generally, and so just not able to dig it out of there. So 10, but the bit that matters is 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. So Smith, Percat, Pither, Reynolds, Golding not progressing, and you made the point, Mark, about David Reynolds being trapped in all of that. So make sure that he didn't lose any further ground to any of the other marauders around him. So he hangs on to that second spot, to touch up down the bottom at turn 9, and Feeney goes round. He has been rotated.
Is the issue, that's where the wheel lock comes in. Brody's too far back. Andre's mistake, and bang, into the back of him. So that's a fair penalty when you do that like that.
And both Reynolds and Pither, by the way, have taken their compulsory stops, and there's another view of what happened. So it's those little awkward curbs at turn 8.
Well, that was the best start of the lot by Brock Feeney. He had nowhere to go. Is that LeBlanc or Hazelwood off the road through there? He's been able to get back on the road, but with contact.
You can see that it looks horrific. Yeah, it's not nice.
No, his day's over. And probably the damage on the back of Mark Winterbottom's won't be much nicer either. Watch this. Bang!
Well, at least he knew he was doing 40 Ks. Not good. And with the high-speed straights here, and Golding actually tours the paddock as well and throws a few kilos of mud around. Davey's a reasonable chunk down there, but it was awkward for Cam because his corner exit pace was then compromised, and that's made him vulnerable here to, that's a fair whack from Brody. Here comes Shane down the inside though, and have a look at the gap they've put on the rest of the field. It's monstrous.
They absolutely smashed the second row. They were so far ahead. They were 4 or 5 car lengths on the road.
Jake Kostecki's got a bit of a traffic jam going here. There are another couple of cars involved in it.
Chris Pither's one. Van Gisbergen will try to get around the outside down here. He'll try to hang on the outside, which gives him the inside. Crisscross. Oh, his teammates wrecked it for him.
Nice work.
Seriously.
This section of the racetrack as Percat and Courtney get it on down here at turn 3, and ending somewhat poorly with both of them in the dirt.
Good save by James Courtney. Ugly. What you said before on the previous lap. The run into turn 9, down on road. He's locked the wheelies off. Off by himself. That's an unforced error. And you can see the reaction there from Tickford.
He's been fast in the recent past, and so has his teammate Davison. Little error down here at turn 4 though for car number. A wild oversteer over the top of the hill. Jake Kostecki got it wrong in the run between 2, 3 and 4. And bit the tyre wall down there, triggered the red flag. He was able to get the car out under its own steam. Quick in the R&J Batteries entry. How's this for a moment? Brody Kostecki bowls a wide over the top of the hill at turn 11, wipes it along the concrete wall, gets it. So let's have a look and see what happens. So a wild ride here for Brody, and this has been a trend for many years. So getting out of phase as you make your direction change through 2, 3 and 4.
That is very, very fast.
Best time of the weekend, and starting to get down towards the big numbers. Randall bowls a wide, gets it onto the green. And his teammate, Anton De Pasquale, runs with him. The pole sitter's gone back to 3rd. Chaz Mostert next, and a little bump and grind. We've got trouble here for Slade. He got out of that. How did he get out of those handcuffs?
Oh, miracle, man. Absolute miracle. That was unbelievable.
Davison, he's got 5 points if it stays that way. How's that start? Dropped the clutch, moderated the wheel spin and bolted. And how's this one? What a save. I thought Slade was off to the paddock at high speed, and so did he.
Yep, and I'm with you. And it come from being 4 abreast. And you watch here, that's Golding, Percat, Courtney, Slade, 4 abreast into turn 1.
What could possibly go wrong?
I've never seen that.
Yeah, so the minute they all start to ricochet off each other...
Oh, that's the fence, wasn't it?
It certainly was. And that's Slade battling to steer that car in the background, the cool drive entry. So.
Oh, have a look at this. So contact at the front and the back with Brodie Kostecki and Jake Kostecki. That's a rear wheel coming off Jake Kostecki's car. So as you can see, the tradie entry now, there's not a flag marshal point that's easily accessible at that point. So he's had a spin in the chicane at turn 2, turn 3. Has ended up in the runoff at turn 4.
Now Anton is drifting back in the pack here significantly, so he's got big trouble. He's been turned and whacked the wall. Game over for Di Pasquale. Does he survive this? And Will Brown, I didn't realise what had happened to Will. Did you see?
No, I didn't see him go in there at all because it wasn't his car involved in the Anton thing. That's a separate incident there.
So, okay, so everybody's trying to figure out what to do to get around. So this is Mark Winterbottom up on the outside. Will trying to get down the inside. A bit of the messiness came from Di Pasquale in the middle of the road. Here we are at turn 2. Okay, yeah, he's just ended up. Oh,
that's a bell ringer.
My ribs are hurting just looking at it. Here's why we've got the stoppage, or at least part of the story, because we don't fully understand what happened to Will Brown. So Dave Reynolds ran pretty wide down there through the right-hander at 5, and then Anton and Andre are jostling, and then it ends up being Brodie and Anton side by side coming out of the left-hander. Here's the view from Anton's car, and they've tangled and it's fired Anton into the wall. So you can't see Brodie at the moment. That's the little touch. That's serious contact. That's not going to be fixed in a hurry. When you hear that in the background, you know that there's a lot of underlying damage. Here's another view. So Anton's rotated around the nose of Kostecki, and yet another view here off in the background. What are your thoughts?
This is more stuff going on down here that we didn't catch. That's where Mostert actually got the spot. So after all that kerfuffle, we didn't really follow what happened at the front, and Mostert was the beneficiary of everybody being banked up. In fact, I think Shane, he went full defensive.
They got 30 teams points and $1,500 for their trouble at Tickford on that one, and it's the replay of what happened with Thomas Randall and Tim Slade. That was a walking pace incident in the end, wasn't it?
It was. So down they go into the hairpin. Macca's now braking hard, and I think he actually escaped. I think he turned down the inside while they were bumping each other. Mostert has given him a yield. So this is Percat, who's out of control at the change of direction from 2 to 3, and then fires wide. Once it was out and sideways, he couldn't gather it back up and slides off gently into the tyre barrier there at turn 4. So not a lot of damage. This is on board now. Watch the oversteer. Sideways, runs out of lock. Doesn't really slow that much. Straightens the wheel up. Clever. So he actually went into the tyres.
Davison hangs on just barely into turn 2. And he makes a little mistake, and we've got Courtney in the wall. This is going to trigger a safety car. Trouble already off the start, and more trouble down here.
He was caught with Hazelwood, I reckon. That's Hazelwood in behind. That was also Chris Pither.
Jake Kostecki might have been lurking around there as well. So that doesn't, well, shows us the aftermath, doesn't really explain us.
Have a look at what's going on here, because James then moves over to cover Kostecki. So you're right, he's got a left-hand rear wheel in the grass. Then there's the bump, and then it flicks the other way.
Blocked the rears, bit too much pace. Straight into the sand trap and nudging up to the Repco barrier down there. And once you're in that gravel's curbs are really glossy and all beautifully presented, but they don't have much in the way of grip. Heimgartner running wide down here. It's a bit of a miracle that he actually popped out the other side. Normally you don't get to do that down there, and Cam Waters learnt that a bit earlier. I'm a bit perplexed.
Oh, he's hit the fence. That's actually a very big moment. Check this out, on board now with Van Gisbergen. Slides it, right up against the fence, bang. and that would normally ricochet itself straight across into that right-hand fence. So he got away with that. He would have damaged the car, but it would normally have far bigger consequences. So up on the top of the wet curb, you spoke about it earlier, bang, pretty much parallel with the fence.
So a lot going on all of a sudden. So arriving too fast down here for De Pasquale. He's wiped the rear on the tyre. Wow. Oh, got away with that. That is ridiculous. He yo-yoed the thing through Forest Elbow and it's popped out the other side.
Check this out. We're on board. He lit the throttle up there on purpose. That was absolutely beautifully done. So when he was spinning, he knew that the rate of gyration was not enough, so he actually gassed it right in the middle of it, spun it around more and drove it off.
It'd be a question now as to whether race control decides to restart it or declare the session. So the tradie entry, unfortunately, off the road. But he's done a lot of drive days and he's done a bit of testing with them and he actually felt like he was pretty well prepared. That's a very strange place to end up wide down there. And look how wet and slippery it is on that grass. And he's not been able to get it stopped. And it's ended up parked up in the sand pretty heavily. And he's saying he didn't think he got in too crazy hot, but wow, she fired off the road. So he would have released the brake pressure at a point down there to try and protect the tyre and then has tried to gas it up out the other side, but in vain when he's tried to change direction. So unfortunately for Warren, he's gone nowhere. And there you go. That's what happens when it goes sideways on you. If it can't get out, we'll trigger a flag. And where's he sitting? He's sitting third at the moment, Todd Hazelwood. Tim Slade's driving that car at the moment. We don't know what the story is there. Here's the replay. And he's run very wide. In fact, he's braked so late that he's ended up on the crest of the road down there on the crown. There's going to be a bit of that going on this weekend. And this is what happened to Andre Heimgartner. We caught the back end of this in the R&J Batteries Brad Jones Racing entry. So he was really happy with the way it rolled out. Whoa, a little nudge of the wall for Tim Slade. Now, he had more than a little nudge here last year at the beginning of the championship season, so that's actually hurt that left front. The corresponding benefit was you weren't exciting the chassis and sliding the car and having to use the opposite lock. Whoa, big moment here for Bryce Fullwood in the Middies electrical entry at the bottom of the chase. It's a tough deal to find the limits in these conditions.
Now, I think you're going to see one of the cars going off in the braking area straight away, yeah. So that is a big moment. And you spoke about it earlier. It's so easy to make the smallest mistake. And that's a river of water that's caught the Kostecki's out. But this is with Anton now. Was it Anton or D'Alberto? I didn't see who was on.
It was Anton.
Was it?
Yeah. I beg your pardon, it's Tony D'Alberto. Yeah, you.
I couldn't work out who it was.
No, neither could I. Yeah. It's Tony. So, yeah, there's a lot going on out there at the moment. Like looking out the combox window, which is not an indicator of the entire track, but it's heavier here on.
So they've tried to come in. So we've just seen 4 cars off the road. There's the river. So just right there, he was out of control. He's totally out of control for 200 metres before finally he goes through the trap backwards, through the grass and back out onto the start-finish straight on the way out of Murray's Corner. Have a look how fast that was.
And I tell you, he was a little bit lucky that he didn't end up another car length further back, because you fall into that gravel trap, you stay there. And he's got 0.13.
Oh, here we go. That's the fence. Gee, that's bad. So he got away with that.
I just lost the chase.
That's Macaulay Jones on board. He's got his lights on. So he's actually out of control before he got to the right-hander. Lucky to get away with what is actually quite light contact in the end.
Yeah, so he was sideways at the kink in the chase. Watch the bonnet. Look at the air getting into the side of the bonnet here as well. Just getting in there and lifting it up as the car tracks sideways, which they're not designed to do. And he's got the brakes clamped, but he's totally a passenger in this situation. So one of the things about the wet is that your peak speeds don't change enormously. You still get there, you just don't spend as long at them. So that's given the front bumper a fair crunch. So they'll have to look at those bumper supports and the mounts there. And it's lobbed right underneath one of our cameras.
Could there be a more appropriate sponsor for that car? Wet and forget. That is how sideways. He had an armful of opposite lock at probably 250k.
me in that whole process. This is what happened. Pit in, creating real headaches out there at the moment for Car 888 and others. This is Craig Lowndes. When Craig Lowndes is dealing with it, I could see all the water coming up from Shane's viewpoint. I went, holy hell. So there's a massive amount of water. Here's another angle. Look at that.
That is extraordinary.
Just flew off the road. And this is the onboard view.
You reckon the wiper's going to do a job
red
here?
Flag, red flag. Red flag, FedEx closed.
Oh, he was lucky to get away with that.
So when he got down to the fast right-hander, this is the story of why that car's parked there. It's gone in the fence hard. That's the story for Will Brown. No wonder that car's parked against the fence at the top of the hill, because he has gone in before the tree section, before you get to Silman Park, slides it up and over the top of the rise, goes to turn in, it's gone. Bang! And see how that steering come out of his hand? That's actually made significant contact.
With Anton Di Pasquale, and trouble here for Macaulay Jones at the S's at the top of the hill. He's whacked the wall. So Van Gisbergen has made contact, or something's happened with he and Macaulay Jones. The pictures will tell us the story.
I just had that weird premonition.
So an awkward moment when both drivers are fully committed to that lap, and that's done a pretty serious amount of damage to the left-hand corner of Macaulay Jones' car, and that was the reason why
Macaulay wouldn't have seen him. He wouldn't have even known he was there. Oh, in the fence. That's Kurt Kostecki at turn 2. And we saw a similar thing yesterday.
North America. This is the replay of the reason why we've got the red flag, by the way. And he was very successfully cleaned up the GTD Pro IMSA category for Porsche last weekend. The replay will tell us the story. So that's the 97, and yeah, that's the reason why he's gone in pretty hard there at turn 2 and the resulting damage that we could see.
We'll have a good look when you get back.
That was a big one. That's a pretty hefty shock back through the car.
Yep.
27 years of age, and we've got another car in the wall, and this time
Copy.
it is Aaron Seaton. So that's heavy contact on the outside. That trigger a red, and it has. Over the top of the hill, a little bit too much pace, gets that curbing that I spoke about. It's slippery. He's actually got a bit of grass as well. Then he's clamped the brake, can't steer it, and has gone headlong into the wall here, right front corner. Pretty hefty damage. It's double tyre barriers there. It's actually picked the thing up in the rear in the process. So that's another car now that's going to need some front-end repair. That's done more damage than either of the two cars we've seen earlier. Let's just listen to this. Yeah, he was too far to the left.
Yep.
So
Matt Campbell was driving and understanding the steering and the throttle trace and the brake performance. Just see Zane Goddard there firing off the road. That's also a very easy spot to go off.
Just carried a tiny bit too much speed and then locked up late in the game. Fortunately, picked up the throttle, but he's picked up a pile of gravel in that process as well. Was a couple of seconds too early for him. So what has happened here?
This is McPhillamy. Oh, they just repaired that car.
No. So that's right front, right rear. Heavy damage on that car. Last thing they needed after finishing at 1:30 this morning, putting Humpty back together again after the drama, and then it's fallen into the sand trap at McPhillamy. So that's going nowhere in a hurry. And that was also not only catastrophic for Jordan and for that car, and this is the reason why he's made heavy contact at the top of the hill. But for Will Davison, who we were studying on his lap, he didn't get the lap recorded.
The lap was a 5.6. What a great start by Lee Holdsworth, and that's the difference between a massive spin on Mountain Straight. The track's blocked.
Safety car to Pittox and hold, Paul. Pittox and hold.
Now look mid-pack, what has gone on here? saw 88, I saw Whincup having trouble finding traction, but I didn't understand on the left side what triggered it.
I can't work it out either.
Trying to focus on the mid-pack. So there's a cluster of 3 wide down there. Whincup gets crossed up. Oh, there was actually nose-to-tail contact. That was actually the number 8 with Dale Wood in it. I reckon he got into the back of the preceding car. Here's an onboard. Whoa!
That's smart.
When Tyler Everingham gets a massive whack.
Oh, is it? Was it Tyler, is it?
Well, no, in the preceding car. Yeah. Look at the water and mud, and they're on the brakes, up Mountain Straight, lap 1, cold tyres, Whincup rotating, Jack Perkins rotating, Hallelujah, a gap in the middle, and that is a sad sight, unfortunately, for car number 18. A lot of water on the right-hand side of the road. Lee Holdsworth's the leader. See how Whincup's car suddenly checks up and goes sideways?
Yeah. But I think he's ended up emerging with hardly any damage. Chopper shot. This is now on board with D'Alberto. Oh, sorry, up there is.
Yeah, so he's on the grass here.
Yeah.
Somebody else deal with what comes next track condition-wise. Oh, this is an bad rejoin, and another huge incident on the exit of the chase. And so this is going to be a disaster. Zane Goddard has driven back out on the road with 30 tyres and clean bowled a heap of cars, including Winterbottom, including car number 8, Dale Wood, and one of the Penrite cars in this. It's an unbelievable scene. It's proving to be the case. So big lock-up here from Goddard. This is the James Courtney car, the Snowy River Caravans entry. He drives off the road, he picks up the throttle to try and scramble back on, but look how wet and muddy is it. Now he can't steer, so he steers straight into the side of Heimgartner and straight into Matt Campbell. The track's covered in mud.
Here we go, let's have a look here. So he outbraked himself slightly and then wants to get back onto the track. Now, when you're there, you're out of control. So he had nowhere to go. Dale Wood had nowhere to go. Matt Campbell had nowhere to go. And does that end up as the only car involved to the accident and had a spin?
Nightmare. So with filthy tyres and no ability to steer the car, Zane Goddard has come back across the road and completely clean bowled 2 cars.
Here we go. Oh my God, that is a massive shunt. Had nowhere to go, completely.
Look at this.
This is where you'll see. Oh no, he got tagged. Spinning in by himself. I thought he spun on the grass by himself. He got hit. So sorry, Frosty. I prejudged that. I thought here was where he grabbed the water and spun just there, but it wasn't. He's been hit from, I think, at D'Alberto, wasn't it? Oh, here we go. That's Alex Davison off the road. That looks like the chase also. He's trying to back that car up, and he's trying to back it back out. He's just got it moving. Trying to take some steering off the car. And this will stop him now. Does he get it there? Oh, my God. This is a cruel game, isn't it?
Can you believe it? Can you believe the images that we've seen so far in this broadcast today? Now, I don't think Declan Fraser took the stop. He's at the head of the queue. This is what happened to Alex Davis. So he's clamped a brake down there. He's still got his foot on the brake. Slide, slide, slide. Actually, he made pretty hefty contact with that outside wall. Don't see that too often down there, but obviously these are rare conditions. So he's got his foot on the brake pedal. It has not taken any pace off it at all.
Safety car, there is 1 car eligible for a wave by when we recommence. It'll be car 56. 1 car only, car 56.
Come in and we've got a car in the wall again. This time it's the Cool Drive entry. Tim Blanchard's at the helm and it's at Forest Elbow. So this is under investigation. This is exactly what I was speaking about before, where the gap continues to diminish between 2 cars when you're making an apex down there. And that's Tim Blanchard.
Pit exit and hold. Pit exit and hold, please.
Nick Percat was the other regular driver. Good car confidence, able to make an authoritative pass. Oh, does he get up the inside there or not? And he's touched him. He's turned him. Moffat's been turned. And he's got away with it. He did not hit the concrete. So that was Brodie Kostecki up the inside of James Moffat, who flick spins and lives to fight another day. It's a miracle.
Here's the vision.
You can see it coming. He's ducked up the inside, tagged him, and around goes Moffat. Here we go. This is the onboard. Well, James had full opposite lock on it as it's triggered another safety car. It's Macaulay Jones that's buried at pit in. So apologies to Scott Pye. We had to cut short that interview. You can see in the background. And this is what I mentioned before, that managing coming in is as important as the racetrack at the moment. You can see the splash. Here comes the replay. So he was given a helping hand.
Oh, nice job, Murph. When it was spinning, he took the lock off. So watch this. So he gets hit. He's got full opposite lock on now. He's spinning. Now he takes the lock off, straightens it up, backs it up the road straight ahead, which let the other car go by. Because if he left the lock on, he would have made contact with the car that was going by. So watch this. He gets hit. And then, I think it was car 96 that was going by on the left-hand side. Road, no margin for error.
Nothing.
And it's I think it might have even had a power steering failure or something, because it didn't end up making contact with the fence, but he ended up just not being able to steer it properly.
They've had one or two gremlins in that garage just all season with power steering, so something weird there. The car just completely disconnected from the race line. He was lucky to get out the other side of that gravel trap. Here's the onboard. Big moment past the metal grate. And then he doesn't actually get it anywhere near the apex down here. Tours the gravel.
Drop it.
Oh, in the fence, Percat. So this will be a safety car, I would think. Now, wonder what's gone on there, because that looked like it just understeered straight off. But he's actually been able to drag it back. Oh, that's lucky. He turns it through the little kink. It's sideways from the time he turns it. He then makes contact with the fence. Now, is that a bad down change, maybe?
I reckon.
Yeah. So it's sideways, it then goes bang against the fence on the left-hand side, and then all the wheels locked. The only bit that we saw was the wheels locked and the understeer in to the fence on the right. Now, did he bump the fence on the inside?
I need to see the replay again, but...
So this is sort of similar to that Mostert one. So watch this. Bang! He's given it a hit, then given it a hit on the left-hand side, and then whack into the pit sign on the right.
Oh, we've got trouble here with 35 in a wall. Is he going to be able to get out here at turn 2, or do we have another safety car? This is the change that we needed to make things liven up at the back end of this race. Hazelwood is in the wall, trying to drag that thing out.
Still good, all good. We'll just need some help, mate. We'll need some help.
So do you want to revise your bet that you had earlier on 12, or are you going to leave it in play?
I'm committed. It's out there in the public domain. I'm stuck. Okay. I think it might have been a bit over the top. At the time, it seemed like a good idea. I was only playing to the current trend. That is the
that was Shane.
Yeah. So he saw it all. So he had the bird's eye view, and the other truck assist car's got a pretty snarly looking snout as well. It looks a bit tired. Yeah, so you went for 8. You're probably looking like you're on the money there at the moment.
It was $100, wasn't it?
No, I think it was only $1. Quite had the pace. Oh, trouble for the Smith car. And again, more trouble for Brad Jones racing up here. Right front corner, ripped out of that car. Does this change the nature of the race again? Go on and have a look here to see what's happened. And it's the classic getting onto the slippery part of the racetrack at the top of the hill when you get out of the marbles there, and he's clobbered the wall at Reed Park pretty heavily, ripped the right front out of it, and it's just actually landed beneath my feet. So they're going to bring Waters in now, and remember he was,
I would think, he's plucked that right-hand front corner out of it, so that'll be day done for the SCD here. Oh yeah, oh my God, look, I didn't think it was going to light up like that. Good prediction by you.
On the inside camber side of one of those tyres. Now that is a guy that had issues with pits and punctures towards the end of last year. At the end of their runs, they're definitely
sorry, Chad, we've got to stop you there, mate, because we've got Will Davison in the fence at turn 2. So is he going to be able to get out, or is this the
you okay?
8th safety car?
Here we go, just have a listen. Yeah. It's locked the rears. I reckon there's dead set something that's happened in front of that car with the front brake.
Here's the reason for the red flag. We're riding with Chaz Mostert, and Jake's got really wide in the left-hander at 12. He's out in the marbles there, hasn't been able to steer it, and he just punched into the fence on the right side. That's our shot from the other angle. So turning off Breaker Street into Sarisia Avenue, you don't have to go very far and wide on a street circuit. Into fifth, and we've got trouble here for Hazelwood. He's nudged her into the tyres, so the right front corner will be looking sad.
Oh, it's actually on, that's with Slade. Sorry, I thought we were on board quickly with Todd, but that was...
With the alternator with that car yesterday, and then it was running on battery alone.
Oh.
It's a little bit more than a battery problem now. So he's ripped a heap of the underbody out of it across the top of those curves, and there was a mechanical black flag issued to this car as well, the Middy's electrical entry for Bryce Fullwood. Oh, that's why. So he's mountain biked his way in there, and then he's copped one from behind in the process. That's the reason. Now we understand what happened to James Golding. And yeah, so that's the reason for the mechanical black flag. So the door's opening, and that's a fair bruise. What was it all about? So cleanly through the... through the first part of the chicane. That's why it was filled with smoke. How did he get away with that? He should bless himself after that one. So he's thrown it in there speedway style. It's clobbered the exit barrier, and then he's spun it on the exit. Check this one out. And he's picked up the throttle. His go-kart picked up the throttle to keep it off the wall. Bummer. Wow, so Mostert and Waters.
Tyres on this run. So just keep a keen eye on those two Shell Mustangs to see how they achieve their lap time on this current run now.
We've got a problem here for Tim Slade. No, so he's obviously clobbered something. In fact, he's clobbered the inside wall there at turn 11. That must have busted the shock, top and bottom mount, and it's actually just busted the thing out to the point where the spring... monstrous trouble here.
Safety car boards and flags.
That is an extraordinary incident. There are cars everywhere. Golding's right in the centre of it. Courtney's backwards. Hazelwood,
Red flag.
Lee Holdsworth, enormous damage on the front of the Penrite car. James Golding's car, Terrell Jones and Pertamina backing on that car this weekend. New livery, and trouble also for Todd Hazelwood up at turn 11. Goodness me, there's a fire going on there at the front of the Acosta. Oh, and they need to get that out in a hurry.
He's going to press the onboard fire extinguisher system is what they're doing. So Nick Percat actually went back over to try to help with Macca, and here we go. Now, James Golding has actually grabbed a fire extinguisher from the local officials. So is Brock Feeney.
Tickford crew there in relation to Waterstoke. Does this unpack what's gone on here? Oh, yes, horrible moment then for James Golding. And then all this lot have got nowhere to go. They have literally arrived in the middle of a gigantic accident. So it starts with James Golding tripping over right here, gets it crossed up, launches across the top of the curb, lucky not to roll it, and that has had the effect of tripping over Randall, and then the rest of them are all doing 150 kilometres an hour, and they drive smack bang into the middle of a gigantic mess. And that's going to take some time to clean up. I think I can say with a reasonable degree of confidence that all drivers are okay and out. Man, this is the view from Thomas Randall's car. Watch what happens, Jay. You've got a lot of air in the middle, and then that actually sent him across the top of the island. And then Thomas caught the tyres, that flicked him to the right. So the Courtney car, it was lucky that thing didn't end up on its roof.
Yeah.
Oh, and here we go. Frosty down the inside of Cam, who's getting assaulted left, right and centre. And Pye is actually going to end up nudging the wall, and he does. So it's Mark Winterbottom, Frosty down the inside, and then that was really weird with... So watch Scott Pye, car 20, the Elspec entry.
Just bum you around, mate.
So Will's pointed him the other way and put him in.
That under normal circumstances you might... Oh, that's the reason why they're having a look at that car. So that was awkward between...
David, so you'll see this now. Have a listen. It's like he backed it off.
Over the top of the turn 2 curbing, but unfortunately having made contact with the outside wall at turn 8, Macaulay Jones in the TRG Transport entry, local South Australian business. Brought things to with only a couple of minutes remaining, and then a pressure run at the end, and it caught Cam Waters on the exit, fiddling with the car. He in fact got out at the end of the session. Unfortunately though, the session was red flagged, so an enormous shunt into the concrete wall at high speed. It's a 200 km/h impact for Thomas Randall. It's done more to the story. So here's the reason why James Golding is bruised at the moment. So he's also wiped the wall, and that was the reason why Chaz challenged him. Let's have a look at the replay. Oh, it cranked sideways on the previous corner. That's interesting. You don't see that too often, do you? Not at all. And in fact, doing some promo work and talking up the notion of hot weather. Dick Pasquale, that was awkward. He ran very, very wide in order to protect their lead, if in fact they want to do that. As Speedy runs wide, actually nudges the wall on the exit of turn 11. So 11's proven to be something of a challenge for a few guys this weekend. Right. Here's a news flash, guys. Oh, that was a big mistake by Waters. Has run wide and he's whacked the fence. That changes the game this afternoon, and Scott Pye is all over him. There'll be damage on that car, and Pye runs wide. They're all doing their best to throw this one away. It understeered bad. Bang.
Didn't even get to the curb, Neil. And then Scott did the same thing at 13.
We've got a car in the wall again at turn 11, which has proven to be a dramatic location so far this weekend. And it's Jack LeBrock trying to get it out of there in reverse, and he's creating a smoke screen in the process.
Second from fourth, and he's come back and put a little bit more fuel in the next lap.
Yeah. So the other thing,
take all that away for a second, because we've got some pretty lively action. And in goes Van Gisbergen, wheel to wheel with Mostert.
So does the replay tell us what's gone down here? Who are we riding with?
Oh, that was the car in front. Oh,
Shane Van Gisbergen, I've been told. It's Van Gisbergen that's parked it up in the wall. What they've got in terms of fuel to the end.
Oh, a dive down the inside from Waters, and he went straight ahead at turn 4.
Oh, no.
Now he's turned. Oh, no, here we go. This will be another safety car.
You're kidding me. So we've got Hazelwood and Brown. He's got nothing to fight with. And look at this going down here into 9, and trouble between Pye and trouble between Fullwood and Scott Pye. One of the contenders is now nosed up to the wall. What an afternoon in Adelaide. Can you believe this, folks? And they're particularly up in the East Terrace and Hutt Street areas. Oh, this is awkward. That's an awkward interlock between teammates, between Thomas Randall and...
Don't cross to Tim Edwards.
Who's this out here creeping around the outside? That was Macaulay Jones in the TRG Transport entry.
Change of surface that Scott, you've been talking about. Oh, and he's off the road now, so that might be damaged front tyre as a consequence.
The left front will hurt. It's going to hurt more than the right front.
Oh, that's not
have a go at that.
Teams, bad sportsmanship flag to car 17, exceeding track limits.
So exceeding track limits early in the game for Will Davison. I was just about to say something because I saw him tumble down the order, Todd Hazelwood, and then the replay confirmed Myers down there. We've got problem with someone in the wall. It's Jake Kostecki, turn 8.
Turn 8.
Tradie entry has wiped the concrete, and off comes that wheel. This will trigger a safety car. Here's the replay, wide at turn 8, and 8 eats another car, and that's shifted the wall, plucked the left front wheel. Tim Edwards will have dropped his head significantly because that's more damage at Tickford.
Exactly the same spot as Thomas Randall a couple of days ago too. You can see Randall's marks, and
on the left-hand side.
What did Baz Sheen say back in the day? It's a control tyre.
Yeah,
what he said?
Control.
Yeah.
Good memory, well done. So you can see that damage, but what's purposely done at that corner is there's effectively 2 walls. The inside wall is a little bit like the NASCAR style wall or your Indy wall, where they use it. If you glance off it, it absorbs the energy. It actually moves the wall. It's part of the engineering.
Rub on the way out, and then we caught this one. Brody gets the left rear up on the wall as Mostert gets underneath him, and he has pressed on in car number 99. He's gone down a spot now into 10th. Courtney's moved up 1. Here's the replay from the wall cam. Kind of gets away with it because
I was actually buggered. Wasn't because I was trying to do anything.
Oh, he's in.
Off the wall. Davison's in the fence. Davison's gone straight ahead. We've seen so many cars off the road here this weekend. Mark Winterbottom just recently, couple of laps went straight ahead.
Well, then you're too wide for 11, Scapey.
Yeah.
So you're wide at 10, which puts you wide on the entry to 11. You just can't get it back.
In the fence. That's turn 8. That's Fullwood. That's more damage. This will be another safety car. This will erupt. The pit lane will go completely mad now.
Fully disconnected in the rear of the car and has just whacked that wall. Oh. And so turn 8 continues to be a car eater out there again today. But the field fully condensed, and Van Gisbergen's just been chewed up in that whole process. Feeney's back out now in front of Mostert. De Pasquale waters.
We haven't seen one of those all weekend.
With the rear going in.
No.
So they're all scrambling. Here's what's happened. They've
still in.
Yeah, so they've actually taken... That's the water bottle. So that's the refresher for the water. And they'll cop a penalty for that. And lucky nobody's been injured, it seems. Now, let's have a look at this replay. So look back in the pack and look for car number 1. He gets down the inside of Lee Holdsworth. He gets right up alongside him, but so long as he doesn't pass, and there's what happened with Tom. So Randall pointing the other way. Oh, we've got Reynolds, and we've also got Courtney, and Davison's parked up on the right-hand side. More trouble at turn 9. What on earth has unfolded down there? And there's a lot of dirt on the racetrack as well.
All clear, mate, all clear.
So who did what to who down here? So it's a dive bomb. So Will slides into Reynolds. Brody's got nowhere to go. Will ends up rally crossing on the top of the dirt. Courtney's on the outside. We'll keep the live pictures alive down here as well. So down the inside comes Davison, into the side of Reynolds, who was chasing Brown, who almost gets tagged by Kostecki in the process, and Courtney's got nowhere to go.
So Will was defending and just went a little bit too deep defending, probably looking at his mirrors, a little bit of pressure there, and then too deep.
Well, he was defending Brody, wasn't he?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's Brody. We're looking from the back of Will's car, and he's got the rears chirped. Once he locked the rears, he couldn't arrest the speed, and he's tagged the back of Reynolds because he's also on the dirty side of the road. We've got trouble here for Jack Smith in the live images. Sam Scafidi shaking his head. There are a lot of disgruntled people out there at the moment. So does Jack get back on? Never won a main game supercar race. He's leading, and here's the replay of what happened to Smith. Well wide between 13 and 14. Wipes it on the wall, plucks the mirror off.
And he led 54 laps of 78. I mean, that's not just lucky. So Shane now celebrating his Repco Supercars Championship victory for 2022.
When I interviewed him the other day, he said he was going to do that. I'm glad he did. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. And how appropriate to do it over the top of the Adelaide South Australia sign for the final event. I picture that engine's loving that.
Yeah. I don't reckon the bitumen is.
And a couple of cheap valve springs that we can give away here. Wow.
I think he's going to get out of the car while he does it. Shane's still running. Still running. How good is that?
That's awesome.
Hey, minute. Does he know? The track.
Oh, he's got it.
He's blocked something awesome. On the throttle, hasn't he?
I want to check the fuel number and see how long it's going to run for.
But he's blocked the throttle. He's blocked the throttle to keep it going. We'll have to talk to the Premier again about resurfacing this joint.
Do not attempt this in your own home.
That's funny.
Well, 21 victories for him in 2022. Another bundle of points today. Supremely confident and accurate performance in 2022 to be able to pick up another championship.
Yeah, tyres, both rear tyres are blown out now. So let's stop. That's it.
3 times Supercar champion. Runner-up in 2014, 2018, 2019, P3 in 2020.